I took 1,500 photos over the past 2 days. With 3 different sessions and a total of 7 hours, that's about 200 to 250 photos an hour. And a lot of those photos are not bangers. A lot of those photos are not good. They will not see the light of day. They are not worthy of being posted. But that's okay. As photographers, we quickly realize that just a fraction of the photos that we take are worthy of posting. But to new photographers, that may sound even more discouraging than seeing all these amazing photos online. But I want it to be more of an encouraging thing, because there's a few ways you can go about taking photos and a few ways you can get the photos that you want. Now, one method of going out and taking photos is the more slow, methodical, I'm going to get everything right in camera sort of method. And that is a method that I prefer oftentimes. I like to slow things down. When I go on photo walks, that's what I like to do, because, it gets me more in tune with the camera. I get to relax a little bit more and really focus in on the types of photos that I want. But then there's the other method, which is the spray and pray method, where you're literally just holding down the shutter and praying that you get good photos. And this is really good for sports photography, where you don't want to miss a shot, but also for me when I take concert photos, because the lighting is not always on my side. I have to try to get as many photos as I can and hope that I got focus right or the lighting doesn't look weird. So both methods are valid and they tend to depend on what you're doing. You can definitely do either one in any situation, but up to you at the end of the day. Now, the first night this weekend when I took my 1,500 photos was at the Ivy Room for the MacArthur Maze Show. And this night I took about 1,200 photos, and realistically, probably about 300 at most are going to be good photos. And even from there, maybe just a couple of them are going to be great photos, but that's okay. You kind of have to work with what you got. I mean, as you can see here, there's just a bunch of photos going off, but how many of those are great? It's a smaller fraction than the methodical method, I feel. Now, the next day, there was 2 different sessions that I went out on. The first was with First Exposures. We went on a photo walk to recreate some images that we saw. So we went on a walk to McKinley Park, and this time I was a lot more methodical. I had in mind more of a style of photo that I was trying to get. I was doing a little bit more silhouettes, some reflections, whatever, just general stuff, because it was super foggy. It was a little rainy, so it was an interesting scenario to shoot in, and one that I feel like I don't get to shoot in as often. I mean, it's so easy to just go outside when it's bright and sunny, but having the rain and fog is always cool too. So in this scenario, I was able to slow down a little bit and really focus in on the types of photos that I wanted to take. And then later on that night, or that day, sorry, I went to Monty Draper's little pop-up event at Rockridge SF over in Berkeley. Here, I did a little bit of both. I ended up with about 300 photos, but in this scenario, I was more focused on getting a particular type of photo. This was a much more intimate event. Monty's family was there, and it was a much smaller, closer venue. So a lot of the photos that I wanted to take were close-ups or photos with Monty and his family. And I think I did a pretty good job there. I think we showcased those photos pretty well. But those ones, I like I said, it took nearly 300 of them. About 30 of them were what I consider really solid photos. And that's okay. That's totally okay. One other thing that I often do and often recommend to people is when you come back from taking photos and you transfer your photos to your computer, you don't necessarily go and just pick the photos you want to transfer. Transfer them all and then throw them into Lightroom and look at them all, because more often than not, I find that photos that I didn't really care for are actually good. This is something I mentioned in a previous video now that I think about it, but you can always or often find good photos in what you think is not that great. Now, with all that said, this was meant to be a short video. I just took a lot of photos and realized, that's a lot. Now, this might not be a lot for a lot of people. You can totally get 1,500 photos in one session, but for someone like me who averages about 100 to 400 photos a week, it was a busy weekend, to say the least. But let me know in the comments below what your preferred shooting method is, what you like to take photos of. And while you're down there, if you like content like this, like and subscribe to see more of it. It helps me know what I'm doing right. And yeah, that's all I got. Thank you. I love you. I miss you. And be safe.